Welcome to the Ultimate Movie Buff Workout. Today on Treadmill Trivia, we are counting down the IMDb top 20 greatest movies of all time. I'll give you the trivia, you guess the film. From The Dark Knight to The Godfather, can you name them all before the answer is revealed? Remember, for every question you miss, push that incline up by 1. Let's get moving. Round 1. We're kicking off the countdown at number 20. Which dark 1995 thriller ranks number 20 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, The Usual Suspects, B, Seven, C, Silence of the Lambs, or D, Primal Fear? The answer is B, Seven. Fun facts. Brad Pitt refused to film unless the devastating ending remained. The studio panicked and pushed for a happier resolution, or at least a different object in the desert. Pitt stood his ground, refusing to work unless the script kept the original, gut-wrenching reveal exactly as written. Those creepy notebooks weren't just props filled with scribbles. Designers spent 2 months handwriting every single page of the killer's twisted thoughts to ensure the insanity looked terrifyingly authentic. To keep the mystery alive, the famous actor playing the villain insisted his name be removed from the opening titles and posters. He wanted the audience to be completely blindsided the moment he finally appeared on screen. Round 2. Moving up to number 19. Which 1975 drama starring Jack Nicholson holds this spot? Was it A, A Clockwork Orange, B, Taxi Driver, C, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or D, The Deer Hunter? The answer is C, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Fun facts. To get the vibe exactly right, they filmed inside the actual Oregon State Hospital. The director didn't just hire actors, he utilized real patients and staff. The original book author refused to ever watch the movie. Ken Kesey was furious that the filmmakers changed the story's narrator. He famously sued the production and swore he'd never see the finished film, even claiming that years later, if he stumbled across it on TV, he would immediately change the channel. This masterpiece became the first film in 41 years to win the Big 5 Academy Awards. It completely dominated the night, taking home the trophies for Best Picture, Director, Screenplay, Lead Actor, and Lead Actress. Round 3. We're heading into deep space for number 18. Which 2014 sci-fi epic holds this spot? Was it A, Gravity, B, The Martian, C, Interstellar, or D, Arrival? The answer is C, Interstellar. Fun facts. Christopher Nolan refused to use CGI for the farm scenes. He planted 500 acres of real corn specifically for the movie. When filming wrapped, they harvested and sold the crop, meaning the props actually made money for the studio. They brought in a Nobel Prize-winning physicist to calculate the math for the special effects. The simulation of the black hole Gargantua was so scientifically accurate that it actually generated data for 2 published academic papers. Nolan didn't tell his composer this was a space movie. He simply gave Zimmer a 1-page letter about a father leaving his child. Zimmer wrote that haunting organ score based purely on the emotion of the relationship, not the genre. Round 4. Which 1990 Martin Scorsese crime masterpiece ranks number 17 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, Casino, B, Goodfellas, C, Donnie Brasco, or D, A Bronx Tale? The answer is B, Goodfellas. Fun facts, that terrifying moment where Joe Pesci asks, "You think I'm funny?" wasn't in the script. Pesci improvised it based on a real experience he had as a young waiter, where he accidentally offended a mob boss by paying him a compliment. One of the most famous shots in history, where the camera follows Henry Hill through the kitchen, only happened because the club wouldn't let them film at the front door. They were forced to go through the back, inadvertently creating cinema gold. Scorsese hired actual mob associates as background actors to make the scenes look authentic. The problem? When Warner Brothers asked for their social security numbers to cut the paychecks, nobody had one to give, or at least not a real one. Round 5, we are at number 16. Which 1999 sci-fi action classic holds this spot? Was it A, Dark City, B, The Fifth Element, C, The Matrix, or D, Blade Runner 2049? The answer is C, The Matrix. That iconic digital rain isn't complex computer programming. The production designer simply scanned characters from his wife's Japanese cookbooks. If you pause the movie and look closely, you aren't seeing binary. You're seeing instructions for making sushi. Before Keanu Reeves was cast, the studio offered the part to Will Smith. He famously passed on it to make Wild Wild West instead. Smith later admitted he wasn't smart enough as an actor back then to understand the concept and would have messed it up. The actors trained for 4 months to learn kung fu and wire work. Keanu, however, was recovering from serious spinal surgery. For the entire training camp, he practiced with a neck brace and couldn't perform a single kick until just days before cameras rolled. Round 6. Which 1980 sequel ranks number 15 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, Return of the Jedi, B, The Empire Strikes Back, C, A New Hope, or D, Revenge of the Sith? The answer is B, The Empire Strikes Back. Fun facts. To prevent leaks, the script didn't say, "I am your father." Instead, the actor in the Darth Vader suit was told to say, "Obi-Wan killed your father." Mark Hamill was the only person on set told the truth just moments before the cameras rolled, so his reaction would be genuine. When Princess Leia says, "I love you," the script called for Han Solo to reply, "I love you too." Harrison Ford felt that wasn't cool enough for the character, so he suggested a simple, legendary alternative: "I know." The special effects team had a little too much fun during the asteroid field chase. If you look closely, one of the floating rocks is actually a spray-painted potato, and another is a tennis shoe that someone threw into the shot. Which 2010 mind-bending sci-fi thriller ranks number 14 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, Shutter Island, B, Tenet, C, Inception, or D, The Prestige? The answer is C, Inception. Fun facts. The zero-gravity hallway fight used zero CGI. Christopher Nolan didn't use a green screen for that legendary hotel fight. Instead, the crew built a massive 100-foot rotating centrifuge. Joseph Gordon-Levitt spent weeks training to fight while the entire room physically spun 360 degrees around him. The booming brass sounds in Hans Zimmer's score are actually the kick song slowed down. If you take Edith Piaf's Non Je ne regrette rien and slow it down significantly, it matches the movie's terrifying bois bois theme perfectly. Fans have argued for years about whether the spinning top falls at the end, but Michael Caine revealed the truth. Nolan told him that if his character is in the scene, it's reality. Since Caine is at the dinner table, the main character definitely made it home. Round 8. We are at number 13 on IMDb's all-time user ratings. Which 1999 cult classic holds this spot? Was it A, American Psycho, B, The Game, C, Fight Club, or D, Memento? The answer is C, Fight Club. Fun facts. Director David Fincher wanted to show just how inescapable corporate branding had become. He claimed that in practically every single shot of the movie, you can spot a Starbucks cup lurking somewhere in the background. In the parking lot scene, Edward Norton was supposed to fake hit Brad Pitt on the shoulder, but right before the take, the director whispered to Norton, "Hit him in the ear." Pitt's reaction, "You hit me in the ear," is 100% genuine pain and surprise. Pitt felt his smile was too perfect for the character of Tyler Durden. He actually went to a dentist before filming began and paid to have the protective caps removed from his front teeth, leaving them chipped and jagged until production wrapped. Round 9. Which 1994 drama starring Tom Hanks ranks number 12 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, Castaway, B, Saving Private Ryan, C, The Green Mile, or D, Forrest Gump? The answer is D, Forrest Gump. Fun facts. Hanks didn't want to teach the young actor playing young Forrest how to do a Hollywood accent. Instead, he listened to the boy's natural deep Mississippi drawl and decided to completely mimic the kid's voice for the adult version of the character. When Forrest becomes a ping pong champion, Tom Hanks was actually just swatting at the air. The ball was entirely CGI, digitally added in post-production to ensure it hit the paddle perfectly every single time. The studio refused to pay for the famous Running Across America montage because it was too expensive. Tom Hanks and director Robert Zemeckis believed in the scenes so much that they wrote personal checks to fund the filming themselves. Round 10. Which 2002 fantasy sequel ranks number 11 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, The Fellowship of the Ring, B, The Return of the King, C, The Two Towers, or D, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey? The answer is C, The Two Towers. Fun facts. When Aragorn kicks the Uruk-hai helmet and screams in frustration, that wasn't acting. Viggo Mortensen actually broke 2 toes on the impact, and his scream of pain was 100% real. The director liked the authenticity so much, he kept that specific take in the movie. This massive battle wasn't just CGI, it was a grueling physical endurance test. The cast and crew filmed in freezing artificial rain for 120 nights straight. By the end, many crew members wore t-shirts that read, "I survived Helm's Deep." To get the terrifying sound of 10,000 Uruk-hai chanting before the battle, Peter Jackson recorded 25,000 fans at a New Zealand cricket stadium during halftime. He stood on the field and conducted the crowd to stomp and roar the evil battle cries. Round 11. Which 1966 spaghetti western masterpiece ranks number 10 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, Once Upon a Time in the West, B, A Fistful of Dollars, C, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or D, For a Few Dollars More? The answer is C, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Fun facts. The Spanish army helped build the massive bridge for the finale. However, due to a misunderstood signal, they detonated the explosives before the cameras were rolling. The army felt so bad that they rebuilt the entire bridge from scratch so the director could blow it up again properly. The actor playing Tuco performed his own stunts, which almost cost him his life. In the scene where the train severs his handcuffs, he had to keep his head flat against the ground. The train steps past just inches from his face. If he had lifted his head even slightly, he would have been decapitated. Throughout the entire Dollars trilogy, Clint Eastwood wore the exact same poncho without ever cleaning it. He believed that washing it would ruin the garment's rugged look and structure. So by the time they filmed this third movie, it had years of dirt and sweat embedded in it. Round 12. Which 1994 Quentin Tarantino cult classic ranks number 9 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, Reservoir Dogs, B, Pulp Fiction, C, Kill Bill Volume 1, or D, Inglourious Basterds? The answer is B, Pulp Fiction. Fun facts. John Travolta didn't actually stab the needle into Uma Thurman's chest. He started with the needle touching her, then violently pulled it away. The footage was reversed in post-production to make the impact look forceful without risking injury. Jules' terrifying recital of Ezekiel 25:17 doesn't actually exist in the Bible, except for the very last line. Tarantino borrowed the speech from a 1976 kung fu movie called The Bodyguard and rewrote it to sound cooler. The wallet Jules carries wasn't a prop department creation. It was actually Quentin Tarantino's real-life wallet at the time. He lent it to Samuel L. Jackson for the shoot as a nod to the theme song from the 1971 movie Shaft. Round 13. Which 2001 fantasy epic ranks number 8 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, The Two Towers, B, The Fellowship of the Ring, C, The Return of the King, or D, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug? The answer is B, The Fellowship of the Ring. Fun facts. When Gandalf hits his forehead on the low beam inside Bilbo's house, it wasn't in the script. Ian McKellen accidentally slammed his head but stayed perfectly in character, rubbing the bruise and continuing the scene. The actor playing Boromir was terrified of helicopters. While the rest of the cast flew to the remote snowy locations, Sean Bean would wake up early, put on his full costume, and hike for hours up the mountain just to avoid the flight. Christopher Lee, who played Saruman, was a massive fan of the books and actually met J.R.R. Tolkien by chance in a pub years before the films were made. Round 14. Which 1993 historical drama directed by Steven Spielberg ranks number 7 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, Saving Private Ryan, B, The Pianist, C, Schindler's List, or D, Life is Beautiful? The answer is C, Schindler's List. Fun facts. Spielberg felt that taking money for directing this film would be blood money. Instead of keeping his paycheck or the future royalties, he donated 100% of his earnings to found the Shoah Foundation, which preserves the testimonies of Holocaust survivors. After watching the first cut of the movie, legendary composer John Williams was so overcome with emotion that he told Spielberg, "You need a better composer than me for this film." Spielberg famously replied, "I know, but they are all dead." Universal Pictures wasn't sure a black and white tragedy would be successful. The studio head told Spielberg he would only approve Schindler's List on one condition. Spielberg had to film Jurassic Park first to guarantee them a summer blockbuster. Round 15. Which 2003 fantasy conclusion ranks number 6 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, B, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, C, Avengers Endgame, or D, Star Wars, Return of the Jedi? The answer is B, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Fun facts. This film holds the record for the biggest shutout in Academy Awards history. It was nominated for 11 Oscars and won all 11, including Best Picture, a feat that tied it with Ben-Hur and Titanic for the most wins ever. Viggo Mortensen formed such a strong bond with the horse who played Brago that he bought him after filming Wrapped. Peter Jackson is terrified of spiders. To make Shelob as scary as possible, he didn't make her a fantasy monster. He modeled her strictly after the New Zealand tunnel web spider, the one creature he personally feared the most. Round 16. Which 1957 courtroom drama ranks number 5 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, To Kill a Mockingbird, B, Witness for the Prosecution, C, 12 Angry Men, or D, Anatomy of a Murder? The answer is C, 12 Angry Men. Fun facts. As the movie progresses, Sidney Lumet gradually changed the camera lenses to longer focal lengths. This flattened the image and made the background appear closer to the actors, psychologically making the room feel like it was physically shrinking around them. To ensure the tension was real, the director locked the actors in a room and made them rehearse the entire script for 2 full weeks. By the time cameras rolled, the actors were genuinely sick of looking at each other, which was exactly the vibe the movie needed. Despite now being ranked the 5th best movie in history, it lost money when it premiered in 1957. Audiences at the time wanted colorful, widescreen epics, not a black and white movie set in a single room. Henry Fonda, who produced it, famously never saw a penny of his deferred salary. Round 17. Which 1974 crime sequel ranks number 4 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, Scarface, B, The Godfather Part 2, C, Once Upon a Time in America, or D, Casino? The answer is B, The Godfather Part 2. Fun facts. To play the younger version of Vito Corleone, De Niro didn't just hire a dialect coach. He moved to Sicily for 3 months to learn the specific regional dialect perfectly. Before this movie, sequels were generally viewed as cheap cash grabs. This film changed cinema history by becoming the very first Part 2 to ever take home the Academy Award for Best Picture. The famous flashback scene at the birthday party was supposed to feature Brando reprising his role as Vito. However, he refused to show up due to disputes with the studio. Coppola had to rewrite the scene on the spot to have the character physically absent in the other room. Round 18. Which 2008 superhero crime thriller ranks number 3 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, Batman Begins, B, The Dark Knight, C, Joker, or D, The Dark Knight Rises? The answer is B, The Dark Knight. Fun facts. Heath Ledger didn't originally plan for the Joker to constantly lick his lips. The prosthetic scars kept peeling off, so he licked them to keep the glue moist and the makeup in place. In the scene where the Joker crashes the penthouse party, Michael Caine had never seen Heath Ledger in full makeup before. When the elevator doors opened, Ledger looked so terrifying that Caine completely forgot his lines and stood there in stunned silence. Christopher Nolan wanted the scene where the 18-wheeler flips over to look real, so he did it for real. The special effects team built a giant nitrogen cannon into the semi-truck to launch the back end into the air, flipping it upside down on a city street in downtown Chicago. Round 19. Which 1972 mafia masterpiece ranks number 2 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, Scarface, B, Goodfellas, C, The Godfather, or D, Casino? The answer is C, The Godfather. Fun facts. The cat held by Marlon Brando wasn't in the script. Francis Ford Coppola found it wandering the studio lot and dropped it in Brando's lap at the last second. The studio encouraged the director to use a fake prop, but he didn't like how it looked. They obtained a real head from a dog food factory. The actor's scream of terror wasn't just acting. He had rehearsed with a fake head and had no idea they had swapped it for a real bloody one. Brando believed that reading lines fresh made his performance more natural. He had cue cards taped to lamps, furniture, and even pinned to the shirts of other actors during scenes. In close-ups, if he looks like he's thinking deeply, he's often just looking for his next line. Round 20. Which 1994 prison drama ranks #1 on IMDb's all-time user ratings? Was it A, The Green Mile, B, Cool Hand Luke, C, The Shawshank Redemption, or D, Escape from Alcatraz? The answer is C, The Shawshank Redemption. Fun facts. Despite being the highest rated movie in history today, it bombed when it was released. It earned only $16 million in theaters because it opened against Pulp Fiction and Forrest Gump. Stephen King sold the movie rights to director Frank Darabont for just $5,000. Years later, King framed the uncashed check and mailed it back to the director with a note that said, "In case you ever need bail money. Love, Steve." In the scene where Brooks feeds a maggot to his pet bird, the American Humane Association stopped filming. They argued it was cruel to the maggot to feed it to a bird live. The crew actually had to find a maggot that had died of natural causes before they were allowed to shoot the scene. And that's a wrap. You just crushed the top 20 movies of all time and a solid cardio session. How did your score hold up against the incline? Let me know in the comments which movie should have been #1. If you've still got gas in the tank, click that trivia stack on screen now. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next workout.